All right, hello and welcome to the hot seat for Own It for July. Um, and it's almost the end of July. It is the end of July. It's so crazy. I'm excited we've got Claudia here today. And for her natural design, Karen posted a post in the Own It community, so you can um, go there to see what it is for a quick reference. And I'll just go over it here. And then, yeah, so basically our focus for the hot seats are to the focus for the hot seat is to have someone be highlighted, and we'll take a look at a specific challenge you might be having. We can take a look at your natural design to see insights, and at the same time the intention is that it benefits everyone who is here with us live and everyone who's watching. So with that, often messages come through and new ideas and new content and just new ways of looking at natural design and looking at your business tend to come through, which is really cool. It's this kind of group energy. So hello, Robin. I see, Robin, you're here. Can you hear us? Or you might
Yep.
be. Okay, awesome. Glad to have you here. Um,
Good to
oh,
see you as always.
yes. Um, thank you, thank you. So, a little early for you, Robin. This is the earliest call I've been on with you, I think. um, but I'm glad you're here. Okay, cool. Yeah, Claudia's in Europe. So I'm going to share her natural design in a moment. And again, it's in the Own It community. So if you just scroll through, Karen did a post. Yeah, so the intention is to serve everyone who's here and also to zero in on a specific challenge or a general challenge even that whoever's on the hot seat is having. So I'll share your natural design first, Claudia, and then I'll check in to see if you have a specific challenge, and if not, we can just see what comes through. So there's no pressure around that. So, okay, so I love this. So we've got two ones and three threes, which is a lot of one and a lot of three. I've really seen people who have more than one tend to be like, there's a real quality to them that, um, yeah, either two ones or two eights. It's like a real drive that's there. So you've got that mixed with these three threes, which are, uh, they don't necessarily go in a straight line like the one would want them to potentially. Um, so we've got the three threes, really cool, two ones, and then we've got a two, and then 29, 11. Oh, actually, Claudia, I would actually edit this a little. I would say for key gift number 5, I would put 11/2. So that's where the 2 would go. And then you'd have another 2. Key gift 6 becomes 2, and key gift 7 becomes 9. I think I didn't quite explain that properly in the videos because, yeah, this happens a lot. So does that make sense, Claudia?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you have lots of 1 because you have the 1 and then the 11. But
Mm-hmm.
11 is a little bit of a different form of the 1 than just
Mm-hmm.
the 1. So yeah, so we've got 1, 3, 3, 3, 11/2, 2, 9. Okay, cool.
Okay.
And then we've got Libra, Aquarius, Cancer, wow, triple Scorpio. Oh, I love it. Claudia, you've got such an interesting natural design. I just really,
I know.
like, what a mix, like, what an interesting mix of energies. Like, Scorpio is so intense, and like,
Uh-huh.
it's all about the depths, and like, it doesn't like fluff and lightness. It's like, what's the core of it all, and really diving deep. And then the threes are like, let's have fun, and who cares if it's surfacey. So it's just so fascinating, the different contradictions. We all have them, but it's just interesting seeing these ones. Really cool. So yeah, so I'd love to hear what question or focus you have for the hot seat here today. Is there anything you have in mind?
Well, yeah, as you explained, it's quite an interesting scenario I'm living.
Interesting scenario that is me. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, I I sometimes feel pushed apart because of the plainness. This is something I suppressed in childhood and my last decade.
Yeah, can you repeat that? I think I missed some of the words.
Okay, the playfulness.
Okay, gotcha. Playfulness
is something I suppressed,
yeah.
and I really, really urge to express it.
Yeah.
And this is something Onit gave me a clue of to hone that and to say, okay, that's really, really important for me to express my threes.
Yeah.
And since I do that, I'm much more relaxed.
Good.
And yeah, I had an aha a few weeks ago. So I realized I do not have to put expression into a certain form because I'm expression itself. Every breath, every gesture, every move I do. And this was an instant shift, and then, oh my dear, I can breathe.
Oh, I love that.
Beautiful.
I love that. I totally get that. I had a very similar realization myself last night. So,
Oh.
and it was around 3. I wonder if I was getting prepared for today without knowing. But there's some real yeah, like a relaxation that comes from being like, oh, I'm always in 3. Like I can always just be that. It's not like it has to be this way. There's endless ways it can be. Which is really cool. I'm so glad you had that insight. I imagine that's brought a lot of relief.
Yeah, and the other thing is with my wands, I feel leadership since I'm able to think and to feel. So sometimes I can get a little bit bossy, especially when people are really annoying me.
Yes.
So I really, okay, you do this and this and this. And sometimes people are really happy that I'm taking on all the power and they just can't follow. Yeah. But I wonder how I can combine the playfulness that is emerging now with my leadership. Yeah. Because I don't want to embrace leadership as leadership is normally done. So like a hierarchy and yeah, the energy of normal leadership is not what I really like and what I can't do. And it doesn't feel true to me.
Right. And how has that been your leadership style up till now? Is more of that traditional?
No.
Okay.
It hasn't been.
So
because it doesn't feel true.
Right. So you have been doing leadership in your own way already.
Yes, but when I step into business, the conditioning, the cultural conditioning, is like a trap. And I really have to be conscious not to fall into.
Yeah.
And to embrace what's really coming through me, and not to copy any styles.
Right.
This is very interesting because normally in private life, in all those areas of my life, I do it my way. But when it comes to business, that's an issue.
Right. Got it. Okay. So.
And this is hiding me back. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to business, it's almost like your one kind of steps back and is like, oh, someone else is the authority or someone else.
Yeah.
Something is that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and like that there's a right way and a wrong way kind of thing. Where in your personal life, it's easier for you to see, hey, I know who I am, I know what I want, I know what's right for me. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, okay, so I have a couple of thoughts on that. So I'll share just a few pieces that are coming through me right now, and then if you have more thoughts or questions or just realizations as we go, then just share. Just ask as we go. So I'll just share my first thoughts. Yeah, so one of the, like so when you speak about leadership for the purposes of here today, you're talking about leadership in business or just leadership in general?
No, a leadership in business.
Okay. All right. So Yeah, because I had so one of the things for all of us to look at, especially if we have a one, which I believe, Robin, I believe you have a one, if my memory is correct. When it comes to any kind of leadership gift like one, well, even Robin, you have 33, so that's one style of it. You can look to the other gifts to really look to see what does the integration look like, which you've already just been speaking to. Like, how do I bring the 3 3s in there and give them permission to be who they are and have that be connected with the one, so that they're not separate. It's not two different pieces and one gets squished kind of thing. So how do you bring them together? And also when we look, you also have the 2 and the 9. So your 2 and your 9 are they're qualities of leadership in general that are more sensitive and more people focused and more aware. And then when you add the 3, you have expression, you have playfulness, and all of that. So bringing that to your business is, of course, a different aspect. So one of the things about one, and I imagine Scorpio, is like Scorpio goes so deep. So if is business newer to you? Like it's something that's not something you've been in for 20 years. Like it's a newer thing to you.
I'm in business since 2006.
2006. Okay.
Yes, but this time I'm going to create a new format.
Right.
So there is something new inside of my career.
Gotcha. In your previous business, you shared this with me, but it's not coming to me, maybe because of the time.
Yeah, I've been a shiatsu practitioner.
Right.
And afterwards, I've been coaching people via Skype in shamanic healing and spiritual healing.
Okay, right. Okay, cool. Cool. And did those businesses grow to the level that you wanted?
No, because as shiatsu practitioner, I burned out. And this was not what I really imagined, and I was bored out at the same time.
Right.
Because of the whole procedure every day, every time, and I missed all my creativity.
For sure.
Just a little bit creativity for each person, but yeah, it's not enough for me.
Yeah.
So, and the next one, I have been doing that while I've been a mother. I am a mother still, of course. And yeah, I did it just for a few hours per week. So I can't say this is a real business.
Right.
But it's been important to build up certain strengths and certain abilities.
Yes.
I can use now.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's kind of the piece here, because when you have Scorpio and you have this one, so one is ambitious, it's the driver, it likes, when you have a one, and it tends to want to try new things and explore new frontiers and all that. And at the same time, it's a confident number. And same with the Scorpio, it's like there's all this depth and it wants to understand the depths of things. And Scorpio does well in business typically because it understands people's underlying motivations. It looks below the surface, and that is a real asset in business. So one of the things that's just coming to mind at first, I'm not sure how it will land, but because of this one Scorpio dynamic, one of the things that could be happening when it comes to the business world is it could be that this awareness of, like, you haven't fully learned all the ways that you're going to be operating your business yet. Like, some of it is new, some of it you've never tried before. And in that case, if that's the case, then there could be some apprehension and like, I really want to learn and know what's right or know what success looks like so I can be confident. That might, if that's happening, I'll check in a sec. If that's happening, that might cause more of this sort of handing over the power or feeling like other people know more, and taking a backseat rather than staying in the driver's seat. Does that resonate at all? It may or may not fit, but it was coming to mind.
Yeah, absolutely, it hits. Okay. It's quite interesting. I'm not giving away my power,
Okay.
but I'm suppressing it and hiding. So visibility becomes an issue.
Right.
I'm hiding and holding back.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're holding back, and how does that connect with the business influences by the businesses around you or the industry?
I'm holding back because if I really enter the marketplace, I want to make sure I really can deliver and I really can give and be all in.
Right.
And since I do not have completely the confidence that I can do this, it's a timing issue because of my little child, and there are certain other issues connected to. I am holding back and I do not allow myself to really express and to really move forward.
Right. Okay, so this makes sense. And then perhaps you see other people out there, and then there's some type of contrast or even more doubt. Sometimes that happens for people as they see other people doing stuff, and then the doubt increases. Does that happen for you?
Not really,
Okay.
not really, because I'm confident the things I'm going to deliver and to put into courses are really unique. I'm really good at them, and they're working. So this is no, I can't sense that.
So the confidence isn't in your work. The confidence is in the business side?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, exactly. So right. So then my sense was correct. So this is something that is understandable given your natural design, and something that has some risk in it. So perhaps there's some new ways to look at things to help honor this aspect of the one that wants to feel confident but isn't confident yet in the business side, and the Scorpio, which is like, I got to make sure I really get all the underneath pieces before I feel confident. So one of the biggest things that can help with that I found is to really approach your business with the attitude of learning. So just like you learned all these skills that you have, and you learn them by perhaps taking courses, perhaps being on your own journey and applying them and helping people, there's probably a lot of ways you've learned those skills.
Yeah.
I invite you to see business as the same, as like with a curiosity and with like I'm going to learn this, and the goal being to learn rather than to achieve some specific reality. Does that make sense?
It opens new spaces. Yes.
Yeah, because there's a book called Self-Compassion that's so awesome, Kristen Neff, and I recommend it for most people, because she talks in the middle of the book. She has a little section where she talks about learning goals, and I'm currently reading another book called Succeed, and she says it in a different way. They're both highly researched books, based on psychological research. And in the one book, the book called Succeed by Heidi something rather, she talks about the same thing, but she calls it something different. But the essence is, if you have your goal to just be, I'm going to keep improving, I'm going to learn, I'm learning something, I'm not just trying to achieve some result, then the whole journey shifts, and your confidence goes up because you know you're going to get there, because you're there is learning, right? It's not like a result. And sometimes when we have this like outer result or picture of what success looks like getting an A, in a class, kind of thing, or making X amount of money, or having my business look successful, and this is exactly what it looks like. Rather than that, we're focused on learning. So I've changed my business model so many times over the years, and even recently did another tweak to it, and I had a learning, because of the learning I did all over those years around marketing, I don't feel like I'm at zero ever. And I might be learning totally new skills, but I don't feel like I'm at zero because I've already started the learning curve. And you've been in business longer than I have. I started, or no, the same, right? 2004. or 5? What was it?
2006.
Okay, yeah. So I've only got 2 years more than you.
Okay.
So that's a lot of years, right, of learning.
Mhm.
So you're not starting at zero, and so now you're learning, like you're learning new ways. You're learning maybe ways that are more aligned. You're learning skills that perhaps you are starting at zero with on that skill, but it's not like you're at zero as you start. Does that help, having that perspective of learning goals?
It helps a lot because it helps me to see the journey as a continuum and not a
Yeah.
journey like up and down and up and down and always pushing the ball again
Yeah.
to keep it moving. It's just a continuum, and it's really relaxing and absolutely, yeah, giving space.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
It's
that's it.
beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. So I
So
just,
easy. Never thought to that.
yeah, well, we don't, because we're all about, like, our society is all about get the A, get the mark,
Mm.
have the success. And learning isn't something that's celebrated. But if you are someone, so if you think about the passion, so I just typed this in, Succeed by Heidi. Hang on, I have it right here. Let me just move here for a second, and pause my thought. Um, Such a good book. In Naturally Thriving Community, we're doing a little book club, so we're reading it together. So it's this, Succeed. Heidi Grant Halvorsen. So good. It's basically like um, the psychology of goals. So she went and looked through all these boring things, um, like papers and research, and she brought the cool parts out and put it in the book. so
Mm.
so it's really good. In her book, she calls them getting better goals. In Kristen Neff's self-compassion book, she calls them learning goals, which I like learning goals because, okay, so if you think about it, so Claudia, I imagine for more of the spiritual work that you've done and do,
Mm.
was that, did you have a goal, like a clear outcome in mind when you started that, or were you just like loving the learning of the different things?
Good question. I am a type of a person who really loves learning.
Right.
I can't imagine stopping that anytime until my last breath.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but I also have a clear vision, and
Right.
this is getting more and more clear and more substantial over the years.
Hmm. Right. So this is really great because you already are a learning type person. So
Yeah.
then we're just taking that part of you. I'm like trying to look for my pencil, and then I think I heard it fall. Yeah, here it is. If I don't have a pen or pencil in my hand, I feel like I can't think. So you're taking that already highly developed aspect of you, the learner part of
Hmm.
you, and we're just translating it over to the world of business, marketing, whatever. That's all we're doing,
Okay. Yeah.
right? Like that's okay. Well, I can do that. And when you're talking about that you have a vision for your business, that's very different than an outcome based goal.
Hmm.
So for example, if you're in a class that you love, and if you're taking a university class that you absolutely love, you love learning it because you're learning. It's like, oh, what new information? Like my favorite class, surprisingly, or not surprisingly, in university was this. It was an engineering management course called Personality Theory in Technical Management. It was my favorite course, of course, because it's just like what I already love, like understanding people. So anything, and it was like my highest mark in all of university, which also doesn't surprise me because it's what I'm interested in. So I was learning, right? I was learning. I was like, oh, what else can I learn? And whatever was brought to me, I was excited to learn about it, not to get the mark.
Hmm.
Like the mark wasn't even in my mind. It was
Hmm.
just like, I love learning this. And it sounds similar with the work you're doing. Your drive hasn't been the vision necessarily, or because the vision is something you're building to. It's not like a, by next month this is what it's going to look like kind of outcome, right?
Yeah. This is a vision, a lifelong vision.
Right, exactly. It's this thing that keeps like building and refining, Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a little different than a goal that's like to get an A, right? To get
Mhm.
a high mark kind of thing. So yeah, so it sounds like you're already doing this skill. So then I would
Mhm.
translate it over, and I think that's going to help because the Scorpio in you wants to understand the depths and the inner workings of things.
Yes.
Scorpio is very similar to seven, in that it just
Mhm.
it. I met the Scorpio person once, and I was like, oh my god, this is totally like a seven, but it's like a different feel to it, but very similar, where they just dive deep, and they want to figure things out. So let yourself do that without worrying, do I have it right? Is it not right? Um, let yourself fall off the bike. This is really hard for us, especially if you have a one and you want to get there already, or if you have multiple ones like you do. Um,
Mhm.
it can be harder, but so it's helpful. In the world of business, it's not as simple and straightforward as other things. So it's not like riding a bike. It's more complex than that. It's much more
Mhm.
complex. There's so many moving parts. There's so many different aspects to it that need to be looked at in order to and learned in order for the business to work. And
Yeah.
there's so many pieces to it, right? So to expect that we're just going to get to perfection right away is not reasonable. So I encourage you to be really reasonable with your expectations, to go into
Mhm.
learning mode, and to really dive into the learning mode. How are you going to learn? I mean, isn't the best way to learn doing it? Like,
Yeah.
hey, I did that and that didn't work well. Hey, I did that and that worked well. Like,
Mhm.
you're going to get more of a deep learning that way than just like, hey, I followed this thing someone said and it worked to a T. That's how much learning do you get from that? There's some for sure, probably a lot, but if you make a mistake, often we learn the most when we make mistakes.
Definitely.
Damn it, I wish it wasn't like that.
Yeah. Me too.
But it is. Oh yeah, so yeah, and there's something else here. Yeah, your north node of Pisces. So Virgo south node means like the deeper part of you has a lot of trust in the tangible and in the processes and in the steps. Um, have you has that been a part of your life, like, or your earlier careers?
The only thing that comes to mind is when I start things, I really finish them.
Mm,
I tweak them around until they fit,
good.
and I really like finishing things.
Right.
If there's books, courses, exams, whatever,
Yeah.
I like that to accomplish and yeah to to make it complete.
Right. Right.
I don't know if this is compatible.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's really like, um, it's this more earthy energy, where Pisces
Mhm.
is more like a fish swimming in the ocean.
Yeah.
If you think of a fish swimming in the ocean, does the fish ever think about completing things? Like, there's no completion to a fish. It's just all one big sea, you know?
Mhm.
So, not to say that it's bad to complete things, but when I saw that Pisces there in just that moment, I thought, hey, I wonder if that's a part of this. And you've highly developed your Pisces based on all this different spiritual work that you do.
Mm.
You've done that, so perhaps bringing some of that into this marketing space, like into this marketing world for you, in this business world, where, okay, what does my intuition say? There's been things that, there's things that you're told to do in business that are like
Mhm.
really super practical and logical, and the part of you underneath is more practical and logical, even though you've developed so much spiritual and emotional energy.
Mhm.
um, so that part of you, still is like, oh, what's the practical, what's the logical, but your Pisces, there's an advantage there. There's an asset there, where if you really start to play into it, you might have intuitive insights that are beyond what you could think of if you were to sit down and be practical. So just trying things. And an example of this, there's a number of different, um, people who have businesses, but they're 100% spiritual. like spiritual focus that grew through ways that are just beyond what you would think, like not practical. They don't do any of the standard marketing things that you're supposed to do, like the right way. They don't do any of that, and their businesses have grown. There's this one company I've taken some of their meditation courses from before, and in Oregon, and they have these, you know, twice a year they do these classes that are on God knows what. Like they're kind of in the ethers. They're not really. There's some practicalities, like, oh, you'll feel more peaceful or whatever, but it's not. It's very like not touchable, and they have like I don't know 150 200 people in the room, and then a whole bunch of people taking it online twice a year, you know, and they do no standard marketing. I mean, they send out a newsletter, but the reason why I'm saying this is not to tell you to not do any standard marketing. It's just to really start to open your mind to the power that Pisces has, the power of the spiritual knowing, of the feeling guided, which you already feel really in tune with that from all of our conversations. But to really let that be a big part of you in business, you know, like what does it look like if business is no longer just this outside thing? Your business is an expression of you. Your marketing is an expression of you.
Yeah.
And it's ideally it's all congruent. And if you let the Pisces come in there, what does that look like? What does your intuition tell you? To try, to learn, who to learn from, you know, whatever it is, what message I'm going to share, and try out and see. Like let that be a part of it, which is also very connected to your threes as well. And also your Scorpio. Scorpio is super intuitive. Like deep intuition. Does that make sense?
Yes. I'm really surprised.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it makes completely sense.
Cool. Yeah, like you have all these huge assets that you've built inside, these like spiritual, this intuition, and all these different pieces. And so like whatever the piece is that's stopping the confidence in the business realm, like, okay, let's attach a learning goal to it so you know you're going to learn it, and there's less like pass or fail, did I do good or not, because learning, then you unfortunately have to welcome the bumps in the road so that you can learn from them. But it's easier to learn from them if you're not worried about being perfect or getting the A or whatever. So having the learning attached to it, and then bringing in more of you into all of it, that it is the spiritual experience, that business. Like I was thinking about this. I wrote an article. It's hopefully going to go out today. I feel emotional about the articles because I abandoned the articles for like 6 years. I wrote articles all the time, and I stopped doing it, and then I abandoned it because my mentors weren't doing that. So I threw it out, and it no longer made sense. But I brought it back. Anyway, the point is, when I realized that how I write is there's an idea or a thought that's sort of like floating around, very Pisces-like. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, that's the one that has the energy. I'm going to write an article on that. And then it sort of feels like, I never have said so loud, but I've really become clear that this is how this creative process often works for me. So intuitively, I'm like, yeah, this is the thing. And then when I go to write, it's almost like, and I don't know this because I don't like see energy in this way, but it feels as though all of the energy of that article is all around me. And what I'm doing when I sit there, usually in my bed on my phone, is I translate that energy into words and into paragraphs and into concepts that I didn't even fully know until I started writing. So that is a very spiritual process, right? As you can see, and that's marketing. Like articles is an aspect of my marketing that I'm bringing back to life. I love it. I love sharing generously, whether or not people engage with what I do in my paid work. I love that. And I love helping people have aha moments and see things they couldn't see before. I love that. And that's what the marketing is. And that is a very spiritual process. I don't like, and you probably have some similarities, or you're probably going in that direction with the Pisces North Node. I have a Pisces South Node, so I have a lot of trust inside, but I'm making things practical. So yours just a little bit opposite. You've got a lot of practicality inside, and now you're moving more into the trust in the spiritual realm. So we've got a lot of similarity there. that I know when I have tried to just do things purely for strategic reasons, it feels emptier and it's not the same. And usually the results aren't the same either. Like, for example, the open rates on the emails with the articles are the highest they've ever been. I've never had open rates that high, and I've been in business for 15 years, and I've been in online marketing for nearly that long. So, like what? What is going on? If I'm strategic, then it's lower. So it's like there's a balance here of like understanding the business concepts, but also making sure that the Pisces is not sitting over there in the corner and thrown in a closet, because that's a huge asset. Yeah, any thoughts? I'd love to hear what's resonating, any new ideas or questions.
Yeah, well, the urge for writing and my love for writing is just as long as I can write. So this is absolutely something I would begin and start my business and writing articles, blog things or something like that. And when you explain your process, when the content comes in, I really can see the similar underlying energies that are working quite the same. And I worked as a writer for a certain time, but as a copywriter, and I realized my copy is then best when it starts to be luminous. To really have a light inside, when I can see the screen and the energy feels now it's complete. And then when I send it, I never get any responses from the people who gave me the job, and they say, hey, well, beautiful, this one word maybe we can change, and I say, yes, that's it.
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah, this gives me huge confidence to really start again with my writing and not to suppress it.
Yeah, that's great.
I really love that. Thank you. Yeah, it helps a lot.
You're so welcome. I love it. I'm so curious too to hear from Robin in a moment here, because she's got lots of 3 as well. Because that's a very 3 thing. Is I always talk about it. It's almost like there's this idea and then it comes through you. And the way you and I are both talking about this sounds very similar.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if Robin has a similar thing. Yeah, really cool. Well, and also part of being a 3 is and 33, Robin's got as well, even more so. I'm now the dentist. Oh, that reminds me, I gotta call the dentist today. Thanks, Robin. You can type your little comments, because they show up in a tiny box. You can type your comments if you like, if any ahas or anything you've got. Yes, 1 and 3, that's what I thought. So the 3, it's like if you have high 3, or even high 5, then we're really tapped into, there's an article I'm going to be sharing about this. I'm doing a 3-part article series, and one's coming hopefully today. I think it's the 3rd one that talks about this kind of thing, but I'm going to talk about it in this context with you guys now, that when you have 3 or high 5, we really are a part of life. And the reason why we're kind of bringing in ideas and then sharing them is because we're the people who are the messengers for the things that need to be shared in that moment. So what that means is we're highly connected to purpose, and purpose is in the moment, and purpose is what people need, which also is a business concept. So, like your business is meant to be set up for and based around solving a problem or helping someone with what they need or what they want, right? So this is, and you can do the standard things that are like, what's the top challenge that my clients have? Like I did a survey. I'm doing a survey right now to help just get some of those practical words. And also there's the like, I have to share this message right now, and then I share it and people are like, oh my God, I needed to hear those words right now, right? That's a different kind of purpose. That's a different kind of like meeting a need that we don't even know exists until it's happening. So being in tune with that level of purpose is important for those of us who have high 3, which is everybody here. I have 1, but I've got 3 5s, so similar idea.
Okay,
Cool.
got it. Yeah, this is something interesting you mentioned, because sorry, I lost it.
Oh, that's the other one. 3 and Pisces.
Just one moment.
Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah, when I think about, hey, it's strange, it's vanishing. Okay, have it back. I'm really very intuitive, as you described, and when I am in tune with a person, I really get all the information needed for the person at the moment right now.
Right.
And I can do this without having them in my room. So if I tap into the energy space, I get the information.
Yes.
And I sometimes have trouble to put it, this intuition, this high intuition, combined with flexibility and my creativity, into something, into a business structure that really works for me. Yes. Because I really want to hone those qualities.
Yes.
And puts a lot on autopilot. All my learning stuff, for example, it's really boring for me to explain again and again the same stuff. Yeah. But I can't figure out how I can implement this flexibility and this creativity and this high intuition into a structure that really meets the client's needs.
Yeah, well,
and not to be in the moment. I don't want to work one-on-one because I really am very aware of my time, and I need time to retreat and to replenish my energies, but also to gain the insights.
Exactly.
And this is what I really can share, and this is a huge value I can provide. So yeah, this is a little bit bumpy road for me at the moment.
Sure. Well, and also, and this is like, it might at some point, we're always here if you want to explore Scale Naturally, doing that, because one of the things is you have a lot of 3, and there's this whole, like, even the need to capture it in a way that serves, that may or may not be required. I'm just going to give a totally, an example of someone who has 3 and has a highly, like, a business that has no, like, not really any set content. I'm not going to share a lot because it's a client from Scale Naturally and we keep it private, but it's not going to give away identity or anything. But the whole business is based around a podcast, which is like all this expression that's not planned. That's, a lot of interviews and different things. So there's a lot of expression there. And there is not necessarily like and take this program to get this result. And I'm not saying that that's the right one for you, because it could involve other different pieces that are more aligned for you. I'm not sure, but that's just to give you an example that your business doesn't have to have structured content learning. That's not necessary. It's just not at all. And especially if you're here to bring through messages and you've got 3 3s and a 1, well, you're here to be a leader and a messenger. That is illuminating things for humanity. Well, there are endless ways that could look, and if you squish the 3s, you're going to limit the purpose.
Yeah,
that's the risk. So just keep your mind totally open, that it doesn't have to look at all like what you've seen, because you just might not have seen an example that's actually really aligned with someone who would have a lot of 3s.
That's true. I haven't seen.
No, we only have seen
that fits.
And we tend to see what matches our conditioning. So, like I have 3 5s, they were highly conditioned, like highly suppressed for most of my life. And then what happens, I find business mentors who are like, hey, here's this model. And by the way, you don't have to create new content over and over. You do the same program, teach the same event over and over. Oh God. So I found the exact right mentor that would be a great representative of the squishing of the 5, right?
Mhm.
So whatever we have suppressed, like you said, you have suppressed that, so that's going to translate into like what you've seen as possible around you.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to start opening your mind to be like, hey, it can look different. There are endless ways for this to look. And just to really be as expansive as possible in that, and to start looking for new examples.
Mhm.
Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and if anytime you want to look back at Scale Naturally, we are here for that. Because that's exactly what it's about, is you creating your own structure that matches all that you are, so that it doesn't squish it, and so that
Mhm.
it still serves the world,
Yeah.
the clients, and all that. Yeah, okay, awesome. So we're gonna wrap. I gotta get ready for the next call here. So, any final thoughts, Claudia, on what you're wanting to remember as you leave here today?
Whew. That's a lot. A lot being said. And yeah, it clarifies and puts the little pieces to each other. It helps me to see the big picture much more at ease. Yeah.
Awesome.
I get a lot of new clues
Good.
and insights, and the teaching continuum is very helpful for me.
Good.
Learning continuum, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, teaching, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to open my mind. I have to put some things into my new energy work and to see what happens. So I'm really, really curious.
Yeah, cool. I'm cheering you on. I just love when threes get fully expressed, because threes and fives are the most suppressed energies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't be too happy, or don't be too loud, or don't be too expressive,
Yeah.
or don't be too bold or different, or you know, don't change.
Mm-hmm. Don't be too different. Yes.
Exactly. So it's the same kind of idea, and like, hey,
Yeah.
here's the box kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm cheering you on, and yeah, here if you need additional support. And yes, so awesome,
Thank
Claudia.
you.
Great, great, cool learnings and pieces to bring in right now. And Robin says, thanks, always inspiring. That's what you need before you go to the dentist, because dentist is not fun.
Who knows?
Yeah, I've never had it be fun.
Had some relationships started with dentist. My.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so I guess, but I don't think that that's what's gonna happen for Robin, who's married. But ah, good luck at the dentist, Robin, and awesome call, everyone. And we'll talk soon. Take care. Have a great rest of your day and a great weekend.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.